To start our learning needs analysis, we need to focus on the learner. And we need to know the learners in our classrooms. What are their characteristics? Are they male or female? What do they like, basically? Are they shy? Are they dominant learners? What are their interests? What's their background or their history within the school? What are their records like? Are they doing well in certain types of subjects, or do they have difficulties? Are they struggling maybe in reading or writing? Are they the kind of learners that are gifted and talented, and perhaps they have certain weaknesses, because even a gifted and a talented child has certain weaknesses. They don't like to be criticized. They rush through their work, and they can make mistakes. They could be quite talkative. Some of them could be shy. So you need to know your learners. So whether it's a gifted and talented child, or it's an average learner, or a child with learning difficulties, we need to know the learner, you know, by their characteristics, by their background, by their school records, by the ways they like to learn. Are they perhaps auditory learners? Do they like visuals? Do they like a multisensory approach to learning? Are they individual learners, or do they like to learn in a group? What are their interests? Learners' interests could be football, it could be something else. What are their motivations for learning? And if they don't have motivations that are clear, can you motivate them? What are the things they like particularly? So, in doing a learning needs analysis, you need to know your learner, and you can build a profile of this learner, or a profile of the average learner that you want to use as a basis of comparison. So I'm not asking you to compare a real learner, but you can create a profile of an ideal learner who has the skills, the abilities, the behaviors that you expect, the knowledge you expect. And with this profile of the expectations of what the learner should be able to do, you can compare with any learner that you're looking at to see where the gaps are. Okay, so for a shy learner, if you have a learner that is confident, then you know that the gap for the shy learner is confidence. So you know you need to build confidence for that particular learner. If it's a gap in reading or spelling or in calculations, then you can check between the ideal and the current and be able to identify the gaps. So, knowing your learner is very, very important. And ideally, you should build a profile of any learner that is a concern to you, or if you want to develop a learner and progress them to a place that you like them to be, you need to build a profile of them. Look at their age, look at their gender, look at their interests, their motivation, their background, their learning styles. If you look at them through the lens of multiple intelligences, if the learner loves music, then that would give you an idea of how to intervene if there is a need in the learner. So that is absolutely important. You need to know your learner. Now, when we look at needs in general, we could look at attendance. A learner might be coming late to school, and it might be affecting their learning because they're not well settled in the morning. And so because they're late, they're, anxious, and probably frustrated, from the fact that they've been brought in late to school, either by the school bus or by their parents, and they've not had enough time to settle. So attendance could be an area of need. And for some children, if you can deal with attendance, then you might be able to deal with the other needs that come from anxieties. Then you have the behaviors. Some learners cannot sit still, or some learners could be aggressive, or you could have children with learning difficulties that affect their behavior, causes them to maybe shout out, or to behave in ways that we would prefer them not to behave in. So think about the learner that you feel has a need? Is their problem attendance? Is it in the area of their behavior? Or is it actually in the learning maths and English and all the other subjects? Is it to do with maybe their attention span, um, their lack of concentration, not being able to take instruction like other learners? We've already learned that we can intervene in simple ways to help our learners to learn. So we need to focus. Where is the need? Is it that the learner is not making as much progress as we'd like? So what is the impediment? Why is it that between the last few weeks and now, they don't seem to be getting it right? We're still struggling to get them to progress like the rest of the class. So what is it? What's the gap that is causing the lack of progress? Then we could look at their ability to achieve. Are they achieving the way they ought? Or they're not able to achieve to the standards that you'd expect them to be able to achieve in their classwork, in their lessons, or maybe in their quizzes or tests? We could also look at welfare. How are they getting on in school? Are they new learners? Are they coming from a troubled home? What are the challenges? Is the child ill? Did the child have an accident perhaps in school that day and cannot learn because they're upset? Are they hungry? Are they warm enough? All of these things can affect a child's learning need. Then there's mental health. A child might be in distress, and that distress can be caused by different things. It could be a broken home. It could be a parent that has been lost, through death, or maybe divorce. It could be anything. A child who is being abused, maybe at home. So we need to look at the different areas of needs. There are possible areas. So if I was able to make a checklist, I could make a checklist to find out if the learner's need is in the area of attendance to lessons. Do they need to come to lessons more frequently? Maybe the child's skipping classes or the child's coming late. Behavior. Is it in behavior? Is it in learning? Is it in the area of making progress? Is it in achievement, welfare, mental health, or is it their general health? Now, if we do a checklist and we tick, we might be able to say, hey, this particular learner only has a need in the area of behavior. If we can manage their behavior better, they would do well. Maybe the learner is so used to shouting out in class, or perhaps is a class clown and doesn't take anything seriously. So if we can narrow in on that, we know that we can attend to the needs of the learner. So we need to now explore that particular area more to be able to identify what the needs of the learner is so that we can intervene.